Week 3 of the 2025 NFL season is here already. We've had some big, amazing games. We've had some devastating injuries, especially for my Cincinnati Bengals, but we are going to keep cruising along, making every single pick for the 2025 season. Looking at my last week, I went 11-5 straight up, and then 9-7 against the spread, so not bad at all. That brings us to 21-11 straight up, and then 19-13 against the spread. So let's just go ahead and dive right into these week 3 picks here, starting with a Thursday night football game that I think it will be a relatively forgetful experience. Buffalo is 12.5-point favorites in this game. I actually do have Miami covering that spread because it's a divisional game on a short week. It is in Buffalo, but it's hard to go on the road against a team on a short week that you know very well and completely dominates them. The Bills, Josh Allen was dealing with some injuries as well. Ultimately, though, I think they handled this game very well. The Dolphins are a complete mess right now. The Bills look very dominant so far this season, so I have them winning this game 27-17. Buffalo winning, but Miami covering that 12.5-point spread. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers and the Cleveland Browns. Another very lopsided matchup here. Green Bay is 7.5-point favorites. Green Bay's defense has been just ferocious. They're coming off of a little bit of a mini bye after playing on Thursday night in week 2. I think they are going to absolutely dominate this Browns offensive line, which has looked old and shaky at times. I think this Packers offense will get going a little bit. The Browns defense has been pretty good, but I still think they'll get theirs and win this game 33-17 is my final prediction there. Green Bay winning this one 33-17 and, certainly dominating that matchup. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts, who may be the hottest team in football unexpectedly a little bit, and then the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward has been sacked a lot. This offensive line has struggled immensely in front of him. He does hold on to the ball and look to create, and sometimes that leads him to making bad sacks and, creating some big negative plays. But there's also moments of absolute brilliance, like that touchdown pass to Alec Iamanair, throwing across his body to the back other side of the end zone. It was incredibly impressive, but I still think the Titans do lack some talent here. The Colts really have designed a really nice game plan around Daniel Jones. Lots of short passes, good design when they do decide to take shots downfield. And I think Daniel Jones is operating this offense really effectively. They're running the football really well. Lou Anarumo's defense is playing pretty well. So I have the Colts winning this game 24-20. I think it will be a close game, but Indianapolis does win that one and cover the 3.5-point spread as well. Next up, we have the Bengals and the Vikings. This is going to be the battle of the backup quarterbacks. It's kind of the all-injury bowl already in Week 3. The Bengals obviously losing Joe Burrow to a turf toe injury that's going to keep him out for probably the majority, if not all, of the season. J.J. McCarthy going to be out in this game as well, dealing with a high ankle sprain. Vikings also dealing with a ton of other injuries. Aaron Jones going to be out. Likely Christian Darrisaw is still going to be out. They're going up against Trey Hendrickson on that left tackle spot, and I think School has definitely proven he cannot play there, even if he is injured right now. We'll see who ends up playing there, but I think the Bengals, not in a great position, obviously, without your star quarterback, but you can still get the ball to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and I think this offense can still be effective. Defensively, Brian Flores, I think, is going to throw a lot of confusing looks at Jake Browning, but I think Browning has proven to be a decent option when he has had to play it in the past. I actually have the Bengals winning this one 24-21. I think they're just a little bit more prepared to deal with their quarterback's injury, while the Vikings, obviously McCarthy's new, but Carson Wentz hasn't played for this Vikings team. They're dealing with a ton of other external injuries. Jordan Addison's still not back. So I do actually have the Bengals winning this one and kind of miraculously sneaking in at 3-0. Next, the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers lost to the Seahawks in kind of a game where their defense really struggled. Patriots did end up beating Miami. I think Drake May looked really good in that game, and I actually do have the Patriots winning this one 27-24. I think the Steelers have just looked really inconsistent. They're either making some really nice plays on offense. Aaron Rodgers throwing 4 touchdowns in week 1. Thought they took a giant step back in week 2. Defensively, Jalen Ramsey's been up and down, has had some great splash plays, but also has been not super effective in coverage. Tons of coverage busts on the back end for the Steelers defense. Kind of uncharacteristic, but they look really undisciplined, and actually have the more disciplined New England Patriots with Mike Vrabel there winning this game, and I think they'll be able to run the ball pretty effectively. Next, the LA Rams taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles kind of just choked the life out of the Chiefs last week in the Super Bowl rematch. The Rams have looked pretty good. They're 2-0. I do have the Eagles winning this one. I just think that they have such a good grasp of kind of managing the clock on offense, not trying to do too much. Jalen Hurts, it is not throwing it all across the yard, but he's doing enough. They're running the football. The defense is just kind of squeezing the life out of the teams that they're playing. I think this Rams defensive line has a chance against a really, really talented Eagles front, but I do think that ultimately the Eagles just come out on top in this game, winning 28-23, winning and covering that 3.5-point spread. Next, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New York Jets. The Jets do one thing really well offensively, and that's run the football. And the Buccaneers are one of the best coached run defenses in the entire NFL. They do it really effectively. I think that, they're really going to limit what the Jets can do on offense. We'll see if Justin Fields is even, good to go. He's potentially concussed, but we'll see what that turns into. Ultimately, I don't think it matters much. I think this Buccaneers offense will certainly do enough. They've shown some really nice splash plays. Bucky Irving looks really good. Baker is clutch down the stretch. And then I think this Jets offense is just going to be really, really limited as they're going to be forced into obvious passing situations, and that's really not where the Jets want to be. Next up, the Raiders and the Commanders. This is a very interesting one as the Commanders may be without Jaden Daniels in this game. Marcus Mariota would be the starter that comes in replacement for him there. I think that the Raiders have a very good chance in this game. I don't think the Commanders' front is super good against the run. If you can really get the running game going with Ashton Genty, even though the offensive line has really struggled in that department, then you can build off with play action and deep shots with Geno Smith, which is where he's really effective. And defensively, I think, Max Crosby and this defense can do enough to maintain an offense that may be really, really limited without Jaden Daniels at the helm. Next, the Falcons and the Panthers. The Falcons won a really decisive victory over the Vikings on Monday Night Football. The Panthers looked dead in the water before coming back, getting an onside kick, having a chance to win the game last week against the Cardinals. Ultimately fell up short, but I think in a divisional matchup with the Panthers at home, this is going to be a close game. I do have the Falcons winning this one 26-24. The defensive line and the defense as a whole looked a lot better for the Falcons this past week. We'll see if they can continue to do that against a Panthers offense that has struggled at times, trying to get Ted McMillan involved, trying to continue to develop that connection between him and Bryce Young. Defensively, they're still kind of a mess, and this Falcons offense has done enough. I think Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator, does a really good job with them. So I think the Falcons do have a good shot to win this game, but I expect it to be close in a divisional NFC South matchup. The Falcons winning this one 26-24. Next, the Texans and the Jaguars. This is an interesting game. The Texans sit at 0-2. Jaguars very easily could be 2-0. They beat the Panthers pretty good in week 1. They certainly had their chances against the Bengals in week 2. Brian Thomas Jr. definitely didn't look like he was quite right in this past game. We'll see if he can, take a step up and play more like his usual self. But this Texans team, I think, has been a couple plays away here and there in both of their first two matchups. I think they do finally squeak out this one. I think they're too talented to start 0-3. I have them winning 27-23. CJ Stroud and this offense do finally get going a bit. The defense is still really, really good with D'Amico Ryans and this defensive front with Hunter and Will Anderson. I think the Texans bounce back, win this AFC South matchup in a really crucial game for them and win 27-23. Next, the Chargers and the Broncos. Chargers have been a really hot team. You obviously do beat the Chiefs in week 1, which is a huge victory. You then go ahead and beat the Raiders, another big AFC West victory. They have a chance to go 3-0 in the division if they are able to beat the Broncos here, who they themselves were a leverage penalty against the Colts away from starting 2-0. I think this defense maybe has not been off to quite the start they wanted, but they're still a very, very talented unit. Nick Benito and that defensive front, and then Pat Surtain in this defense is really, really good. I think the Chargers have struggled to run the ball a bit more than they expected, but Greg Roman and this play-action offense has been really nice. And then Jesse Minter in the defense has been really stout, even if they don't have immense talent on that side of the football. I'm going to go with the Broncos in this one, though. I think they are a really talented team. I like their coaching. I think the Chargers match up well against them. This is just going to be a really, really fun AFC West matchup. I have the Broncos winning 30-27 in a bit of an upset, but I could certainly see this one going either way. This will be a really, really fun one to watch. Next up, the Seahawks and the Saints. The Saints have certainly looked a little bit more frisky than expected. They are still 0-2, so they can't quite get over the hump, but they have been dangerous in both games. The Seahawks had a couple of really nice plays against the Steelers. They moved the ball, scored a lot of points effectively. I do think this game will be a little bit closer than people expect. Yes, I think the Seahawks win this game. I think defensively they're really stout. They're really good. But Spencer Rattler and the Saints offense has been a little bit underrated. So I want to give them a little bit of some props. I think the Seahawks win this one, but the Saints do cover that 7.5 point spread. With the Seahawks winning 31-27 in this one. Next, the Cowboys and the Bears. Bears got off to a really rough start here, losing week 1 and then getting dominated by the Lions in week 2, giving up over 50 points to that Lions offense in the Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell revenge game of sorts. The Cowboys just squeaked out a victory over the New York Giants. Almost blew that one down the stretch, but Brandon Aubrey is, thankfully for them, the best kicker in football and bailed them out of this game. I originally picked the Bears in this one. They're favorites. They're at home. I think they're too talented to really start 0-3. But this defense has been in shambles. And when I really looked at the matchup, Jalen Johnson's out and potentially done for the year. They're really struggling at that cornerback position. The secondary looks really bad. And that's exactly the matchup that the Cowboys can take advantage of. You know, they can't run the football, the Cowboys, but they can use Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens. And I just don't know that the Bears are going to have an answer for that. Offensively, the Bears have been better than they were last year for sure, but they still struggle to run the ball. I don't think DeAndre Swift is great. And again, that's where you can attack this Cowboys team. I think Caleb Williams will get some good opportunities in this game, but I do have the Cowboys winning this one 31-24. Next, the Cardinals and the 49ers. Very interesting NFC West matchup. We'll see if Brock Purdy's back for this game. I think that could be a big determining factor, but ultimately the 49ers, they operate their system really effectively. Mac Jones, I think, filled in admirably for them, and I still believe that they're a talented roster and they can get things done. I've been high on the Cardinals. I do think they've played pretty well. They had a little bit of a scare against the Panthers there, but they are a talented team, but I don't know, I'm just kind of feeling the 49ers in this one. They're at home. I still like a lot of what they've done so far, even if they're kind of scheming around some guys. They didn't dominate the Saints, but they did certainly take care of their business, and they've done a good job so far. So I do have them winning this game in a little bit of a lower scoring 23-20 game, but I do have them winning this tough matchup. Next, the Chiefs and the Giants. This is the Chiefs get-right game. You face the Chargers in a tough Week 1 matchup. Then you face the defending Super Bowl champions in Week 2. The Chiefs start 0-2 for the first time in a very long time. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, this Chiefs roster is far too talented to start 0-3, especially against a Giants team that I just don't think is all that good. Yes, they're at home, but I'm a little surprised, honestly, that the line is 5.5. I know that the Chiefs are on the road and 0-2, but I'm still picking them big in this game, 34-20. I think they come out, get right really effectively in this game, and certainly dominate the Giants for the majority of this game. And then we have an excellent Monday Night Football matchup between the Ravens and the Lions. Lions did not look good against the Packers in Week 1, but bounced back in a really big way against the Bears, putting up over 50 points. Defensively, early in the game, it was a little bit of back and forth, and then, a couple of big turnovers, a couple of big plays by this defense helped change the momentum of the game. The Ravens just absolutely dominated the Browns last week to absolutely no one's surprise. This will be a really fun game. In Baltimore, I give them the slight edge. They're 5.5 point favorites. I think it'll be closer than that, but I do have the Ravens winning this one 31-28. I think, with their defensive scheme, they're going to be able to get after Jared Goff a little bit, force him into some mistakes, maybe not be quite as effective when he's forced to go out of structure. And this Ravens team do enough to get back to 2-1 and winning record, and certainly a contender for that AFC North title. So that's going to do it for my Week 3 predictions. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What are your predictions? What do you think is going to happen? What did I have right or wrong? Going to be getting some more NFL content, score predictions like this, tons more NFL draft content coming your way soon as well. So you won't want to miss that. Subscribe and like down below, please. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one.